A lot of the times when you're with fancy people, you'll hear their children screaming at them, "Daddy, Daddy, I want this," or "Daddy, buy me this." Well, this week's recap is brought to you by GoDaddy.com, and with them, you can get the domain name that you want. All you have to do is enter code RECAP, that's recap, and for this month you can get a new domain name or a transfer domain name. That's badass. Only $1.99. That's pretty fucking cheap. So let's say I want to make a website, gavinfreesucks.com. You know, spread the truth. Oh, look at that. It's already available. See, it's that easy and that quick. Again, all you have to do is go to GoDaddy.com, enter code RECAP. That's RECAP. Bitches. Oh, hello there, Internet. I'm Lindsay, you know that, and you're watching the RT Recap, but you might not know why I'm dressed like this. See, normally we have casual day like every day at the office, so I figured why not step it up with fancy day. So you're watching the fancy RT Recap. Nothing says fancy like gas station wine, am I right? But seriously, I finished this before we started filming. So, more wine, please! Stop it. You. Stop. Come on. I was just talking to my friend here who just bought their ticket for RTX this year. My friend, however, doesn't exist. Why? Because we're sold out of tickets for RTX for this year. You guys are awesome. You bought out the entire stock. We're totally cleared out of badges, and we'll be seeing your fine asses at RTX. We better be whining and dining together, so you better pour me a glass, because I'm already out, and this is gonna go quickly. Are my teeth red? But back to the fancy folks who actually are attending RTX. If you want to check out to my right, there's an event schedule and a list of tips and guidelines to help you impress us with your charm and charisma. And maybe next year we'll invite you to the holiday Christmas party. But seriously, you won't. When one is aspiring to be fancy, it's always appropriate to have the right attire. A shawl, a dress, maybe some jewelry. Also a sword. Nothing says fancy like a fucking sword. Like Game of Thrones, for example. Like a was at the thing, and then everyone was like, and they're like, the chest. He's like, and screaming at her kid. She's like, and then like they fell on the floor, and she's like, I will kill you. And then that dude comes over and runs up, and he's like, I'm gonna your kids. I'm gonna kids. And the are like, we're safe over here. And then like, oh, see you. And the fucking dude from Harry Potter's like, I don't care. That was a pretty good episode. Red vs. Blue Season 11, Episode 1 premiered week before last. And if you want to check out Episode 1, it's right here to my right. Episode 2 will be coming out tomorrow, that's Monday, so you better be on the RT page, or else you will be a loser. Loser. This week on the Slow-Mo Guys, Gavin went all Daryl Dixon and shot some arrows through some Dr. Pepper bottles. You can hear the sound of plastic being ripped apart, just like a zombie. Check it out by clicking right here. Also fancy, dick jokes plus science. But only when combined, the two like cancel each other out. The perfect place to find both? Right here on the podcast, of course. In this week's episode, Gavin tries to figure out how all the water fits on the earth. Forte, it's a word. Probably a fancy French one for like fort or something. But if the RT podcast isn't your forte, you can check out the episode of The Patch that came out this week, episode 5. The guys are talking about E3, press announcements, and what games look fancy and not so fancy. On this week's animated adventure, Gus tells us about a squirrel that lives outside of his house that's bullying him. Gus is literally getting beaten up by nature, which is a little sad, Gus. You're human, and it's a squirrel. It's like a 12th the size of you, if that. Make a hat out of him, and then wear it with pride. Because you fancy. Link, the hero of time, faced defeat at the hands of Ganondorf. Oh, sorry, you caught me reading in between takes. But enough of that nerd shit. It's on to Achievement Hunter. Also fancy, a good hat, especially one worn by Indiana Jones. I feel adventurous. We have 3 Let's Plays for you guys this week on the Let's Play YouTube channel. First up, Lone Wolf Biker in Grand Theft Auto 4. This guy's a riding hard and taking shit from nobody. I know that game. Speaking of taking people out Gangland style, we have Hit List in Minecraft. You know, get rid of those pesky problems we call Gavin. And continuing on their high-speed chase, this week's Wednesday Let's Play is Soccer in Forza 4. On this week's Awu, everybody's wearing hats, all fit in perfectly. Fancy people love a rousing game of polo. And speaking of horses, this week's horse is Miles versus Patrick. You know, polo. Not like water polo, like the dude on the polo shirt. That's why they call it a polo. Because he's actually like on a horse hitting the ball, you know. Read a book, okay? but don't, that's nerd shit. Again, fancy people love duels. That's why this week's Things to Do is King of the Mountain in Red Dead Redemption. On this week's Rage Quit, Michael decides to be a little fancy himself and elevates his vocabulary. I dare say this game enrages me. There are also such things as fancy fails, like when Jennifer Lawrence went up to get her Oscar and totally fell on her ass. But speaking of fails, we have Fails of the Week number 144. Okay, I'm really sick of being fancy. I'm tired of this shit. I hate dresses, I hate skirts, and I hate the fact that I'm in this dress right now. It's constricting and it limits my motion. So I'm gonna get the hell out of here. It's been real, it's been pretty fancy. I'm gonna go trash it up.